What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Welcome to Motivation Monday. Let's get fired up. Let's waste no time and jump right into an incredible episode with our primary question out of the mailbag. So question one is, I have a slow metabolism and can't lose weight no matter what I seem to do. Is there a fix for this or I am doomed? And I love this question because it's all too often I hear people, I can't lose weight, I have a slow metabolism, my hormones just aren't right. Like, these are things that are usually thrown in the way of weight loss being a challenge. And this can absolutely be a true thing. Metabolism is a factor. We know people that seemingly can eat anything they want. They're very sedentary and they maintain a low weight. We know some people that whenever it seems like they go off their diet a bit, they blow up. Now, it's a lot more complex than it should be at face value because metabolism encompasses quite a lot of things. And when you consider, if you want to get really technical about it, your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, there are so many components that go into this. And the main way your body actually burns calories is just from your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this is from you existing. So as a bigger person, I'm naturally going to need more fuel to keep my body going, just like a bigger condo would need more electricity than a small little house. So because of that, it's hard to compare apples to oranges, but you may know someone who's your exact height and weight, and maybe they're just able to eat way more. So what's interesting within this and other factors that come into consideration, some people are really twitchy. Some people are always pacing. Some people are always moving and grooving. And you'll actually find when you diet really hard, you start to naturally do less of these. And some people too will have a quote unquote natural metabolism, but maybe that person's doing 20,000 steps. I think servers are a great example. When we were at our dinner, I noticed our server was just boogieing the other day. Like, you're just constantly ripping. And I've had clients that say, hey, when I'm doing that, I'm doing 25,000 steps a day. This isn't to say they net have a higher metabolism than you. This is just them being more active and burning more calories. And metabolism is a fun cop out because there is a great chance you quote unquote have a slow metabolism if you're sedentary, you don't hold much muscle, you're not moving very much, and you're not tracking your calories. Because of all of these different factors, you don't have much in your favor, and you're gonna see weight add up from those few times you go over calories. You're not really doing anything to counteract that. So instead of looking at your metabolism as quote unquote slow, start to fix some of those habits and regulate your expenditure. So obviously a step count is phenomenal. Having a set day amount in the gym for a set amount of time is another great solution. And on top of that, there are a few things you can do to actually improve your metabolism. I have a pretty fast metabolism. I'm able to maintain quite high, mid 3,000 calories, no problem. I have a lot of flexibility within that. I can enjoy the foods I want, but I've been lifting for 10 plus years and I'm able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And as you hold more muscle, you can actually eat more food. But Kyle's actually an expert on this. He's made some phenomenal videos on our YouTube channel about net improving your metabolism. But what I want to say too is just don't be quick to use this as an out as to why you can't succeed. Most often there are just adherence issues that can quite simply be fixed. And this is something that can be brought up over time. And just the same, you absolutely can damage your metabolism. We have to fix a lot of time for other coaches where they've just been dieted to oblivion with no flexibility and really had bad nutritional habits, because when you do diet down really hard, your ghrelin, your leptin gets super suppressed. And these are actually hormones that will really cause you to be more hungry and to be less satiated with food. So it's a losing battle. And then your other hormones like testosterone, insulin, all these things will start to suppress even more, giving you less energy, giving you less results. And it kind of becomes this just snowball of you getting pretty messed up by you over dieting. Now, it is really hard to do this. And most people, truth be told, don't have this issue. And sometimes you do need to diet a little bit lower than you'd be comfortable of. But there are ways you can actually rebirth this with like refeeds and all these other higher level things that do work quite well. But once again, this question is very complex, and things like metabolism is it's more of a buzzy word, and it's hard to get into the semantics of it. But Kyle has, like I said, phenomenal tips for anyone, no matter where you are in your journey, that will actually cause you to boost that metabolism a bit.
Yeah, and because it's like a bit of a buzzword, it seems like there's also a lot of just like really bad advice out there. And I think a lot of thoughts within metabolism come to, like, as soon as you think of it, people think of like more meals per day. Like, I'm going to keep my metabolism going all day, so I'm going to have 8 meals a day. Like, I've heard this countless times. Some people would look into spicy food, supplements, fat burners, pills, saunas, cold baths, green tea, all those things, thinking that that's what's going to fix them. And reality is, it's just when it comes down to giving you guys advice just to be like healthier, have a better metabolism, obviously, just like be stronger and just be leaner as well, a lot of it is just what we always talk about. It's just build high quality muscle, give yourself time to be in a surplus or a maintenance phase. And I think this is where I see one of the biggest mistakes come in, is just that people are in an endless phase of dieting, but not even just consistent dieting, just like on and off, like 8 weeks of good stuff, or not even 8 weeks. Most people do a few weeks, and then you see the next fad diet, you have a bit of a break, and then you jump into the next one. And I see some people in the exact same spot over and over again, not seeing results, not losing fat, just not allowing themselves even like, I love a nice maintenance and surplus phase because I feel like it does my body really well. And if you were to use an example of me years ago, let's say with like way less muscle mass, it would just be hard for me to eat more food because I just simply don't have as much muscle. I'm not burning as many calories. So I would say, let's say maybe I would maintain around 2,000, whereas now I could maintain around 3,000 calories. It's a big difference, and it's not exactly to the T, but it's nice to be able to just enjoy and be able to still, go out and realize I'm not going backwards if I, have a bit more or whatever the case is. But honestly, when it comes down to it, when you diet, do it slower, be consistent with it. Don't crash diet, don't rush diet. I know so many people would be like, hey, I'm going on a trip in a few weeks. And, it messes things up like internally. And it doesn't have to be that way. But like I said, the most important thing is just building high quality muscle. And I think most people are afraid to do it. They don't know how to do it. And there's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. So we specialize in this. Like Josh said, like we've had so many people come in who are like, I am at 1,200 calories and I don't know what to do. Like I'm stuck. I can't go down anymore. What do I do? So we implement a lot of high level strategies. Like you were saying, we'll do some reverse diets. We'll deep dive into what's actually working and what's not, and be able to realize maybe the inaccuracies taking place, maybe the strength training program is not right, maybe you're doing too much cardio, too little strength training. There's a lot of things going on. So we're actually looking to do a test group right now for people who are looking to fix their metabolism and lose weight by summer and keep it off. We're going to take on, I'd say, 3 people for this specific case study, and all you have to do is message us on Instagram with the keyword metabolism. I promise you, this will be the greatest thing you're going to be able to do, instead of just years and years complaining like, it's stuck, it's slowing down. Another myth is people think that as the years go on, it just slows down and they're just doomed, and they just use that as an excuse. So you have what it takes. We can help you. We've helped hundreds, if not thousands of people like this, and we can't wait for you to be next.
So well said. And once again, taking all of the complexity of this and removing it so you know exactly what you need to do is the best place to be, because a great way to mess up your metabolism too is to make the typical mistake of, oh no, I'm too heavy, I need to lose weight. Then you diet a bunch, lose some fat, and then you're like, oh, I'm looking skinny, I need to bulk. And you're in this wishy-washy phase, or you crash diet for 2 weeks and then you end up binging out for a trip and you end up worse than when you started. Like, this is a great way to nuke your metabolism and be in a bad spot. And perhaps you've done this and you're up 10, 20, 30 pounds more than you have been in the past. You can easily circumvent this and learn how you can actually navigate this with intention and focus. And having a coach on your side makes it way more clear, and it will really help you battle the highs and lows of your fitness journey, because it's something that needs to work with you, not against you. It needs to be realistic, and that's really what we built our coaching around. So definitely look forward to helping you with that. It's up to you to make that choice. Don't just be thinking, oh, someday. Make it today. We're here to help you. Hit us up with that message, Metabolism, and we look forward to helping you. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into our quote of the week. We love quotes because we find you can jam pack a lot of great information into a really simple, quick, amazing way to kind of digest it. And we like to expand on it and share our thoughts on it. So let's kick it off with Kyle's.
So my quote for today is, what seems impossible today will one day be your warm-up. So I love this concept because we've all been a beginner at something, and even myself included. I'm not the biggest fan of not being good at something, but there's been so many different times that it's just been, a struggle for me at the very beginning. And then you just become a natural with the more reps you put in, the more days you put in, and just the more that you show up. So yeah, just a friendly reminder that when you consistently show up, you're just going to get so much stronger. And there's so many different analogies I could use here, but obviously relating it to the gym. I know sometimes people will look at the weight that we use and think like, man, there's never a way I'm ever going to get there. And they'll ask us all these questions, and we're like, hey, we've been doing this for so many years and just consistently putting in that work. And there were even times when I never thought I'd be able to hit some of the numbers I've hit. but it just came down to being consistent and consistently showing up. And obviously progress is gradual, just one day at a time, one workout at a time, and eventually be doing some crazy things that you never thought possible. You just have to stay consistent and keep showing up.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I remember when I started in the gym and I benched the bar, and I just thought one day when I do a plate, it's going to be the coolest thing. And like now it's like a comical warm up for me. And it's pretty cool to get to these different levels, and it's always fun to try to overcome them. And I think at the start, it's really easy to overthink it and to feel like such a beginner and be so overwhelmed with where you're at in your journey and not really be able to see that long-sighted view of where you can potentially be. But it's really great reflecting as well, because I think it highlights the importance of just winning those small battles, being consistent. And when you look back, it's these massive, crazy leaps in progress. And it's not like you can pinpoint it to like one day this changed everything. It was those decisions in between. So I think that's a great way of looking at it. It's an amazing way to zoom out and really think about the potential, not only to what you've done, but the potential of where you could be next year, where you could be in 5 years. So I think that is some great motivation. My quote for this week is, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." And this is from Helen Keller. And speaking about those jumps and amazing bits of progress in our journeys, I'd say I've seen the most progress the more I've surrounded myself with other people. So I started lifting mainly in a group, actually, because I actually had a class where I did it for school, which was pretty funny. And I would learn from people that were bigger and stronger for me. And I'd learn some right things, I'd learn some wrong things, but those people would push me. And then I'd start working out with buddies. And it got to the point where I'd go to the gym with like 6-7 people. And it was so funny because one day I was there by myself and a guy came up to me and he said, "Where's your posse?" And I thought that was so funny, but in a way it was so good because there were some people that were a lot weaker. There were people that were stronger than me. There was one of my buddies, shout out Elias, he could bench 405 in high school, which was crazy. It was incredibly humbling for me, but all these different opportunities of being around people, being in a community, being around like-minded people who want to grow, linking up with Kyle, growing the business, having that motivation, navigating physique competitions, powerlifting competitions, helping 4,500 people. Like, this quote to me really just highlights how important it is to have a community and have other people with you on your journey. And that's actually what made us bring up our coaching, because even for me, I remember I'd have such a hard time making decisions like, should I cut, should I bulk, do I cut my calories? And this happened for a week, and like I would know the logical decision as a coach and someone who did it for a while, but emotionally I'd be like, oh, but I want to look skinny, and I'd get so in my head about it. And with coaching, what's so great is when you remove yourself from that process and someone isn't emotionally entwined, they'll say, hey, listen, like, you just had a slip up, we don't need to make any changes, battle this through a week. And they'll be able to do that long-term planning, and they'll really be able to put like safeties on you from doing anything radical, to where you can see the most progress in a really healthy and sustainable way. And even to that point, without jeopardizing your long-term success. Like, it could seem like, oh, I want to lose a lot of weight, so I'm going to eat nothing, I'm going to fast, I'm going to cut my calories to the bottom. But then your metabolism's so tanked out, it's hard to maneuver from that bottom of where you are. So that's where making like these smarter long-term decisions is so important. And I always like to say, it's one thing to be on the journey yourself, it's a whole nother thing to be on your journey with a coach, and it's a whole nother to be on your journey with a community. And a big part of our coaching is that we actually have a private Facebook group just for coaching clientele. And in there, everyone's able to connect, share tips. We share our wins, we share our triumphant Thursdays. And for me, it's like great motivation, because I have all these amazing community members to support me and build me up and help me be better. So I think that's been one of my biggest secrets. And I think this quote was such a great highlight of that. And it's amazing, obviously, being a coach, but also receiving a lot of the benefit. So a little bit of selfishness there, but like, this has been my secret. And even in the group I shared, for the last 10 plus years, I've used the same tenets that I built my coaching on. I utilize my success spreadsheet. I'm making sure to check in with that every week with Kyle and send confirmation of where I'm at and where everything's trending, having him review that, and really building forward there with the community. Like, these are all things I've used, and people always say, oh, how do you get to where you're at? Oh, or Kyle's so jacked, how do you do it? And it's like, we literally just do what we preach. And I think that's what's so amazing. And it's hard seeing other coaches. I guess I'm getting into my thoughts, but I see a lot of coaches who will preach these things, and like I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, and they just live so asymmetrical from what they're encouraging people to do. And I think that's where we're able to have such good success rates, because it's like, I'm not asking you to do anything I don't do consistently myself. And for me as well, I don't want to be inconvenienced, so I've streamlined it as much as I can to be as just easy to do as possible and to take the least amount of your time to be the most sustainable. So something I'm proud of, and I think even to Kyle's point, reflecting on this, it's because I've had this community, this support, and it's great seeing it be built out and be better and better. So we'd love to have you be part of that community. So if you want to learn more about our coaching and you want to work with me or Kyle one-on-one to see the results you've always dreamed of, just hit us up on Instagram with the keyword metabolism.
I'm not gonna lie, like being on this journey by yourself is just not fun. Like, and especially for us, like our biggest thing was if we're gonna succeed, like let's bring people along with us. Like if we work out with some buddies at the gym, like let's all crush it together. The people we interact with at the gym, let's all win. Let's all hit some big numbers and accomplish our goals, you know? And that's where even with what we've built, like it's just why we have the formula, we know what to do. There's so many people that don't know how to do it. So it's been an amazing process. I've been spending a bit of time reflecting on just like the growth over the years, and just sometimes you have to take that first step. And obviously that first step for you could just be reaching out to us for any question. And, you know, I was also thinking about, as I was editing a YouTube video, basically like how far we've come with just overall growth in terms of just like taking that first step. And, you know, myself personally, I was so bad at so many different things at the very beginning of this journey, between editing, filming, talking, even client stuff I wasn't the greatest at. And it's just been like full on commitment. And even just learning from Josh, it was great because he taught me how to edit a video. And then from there, I'm like, let's take some courses. Let's just try and do so much. And that first step is always the hardest step, but it always ends up being worth it if you stick to it. So we're excited to help some more of you. We're excited to just be on a journey with so many of you amazing people. And even if you're tuning into us right now and you're spending time with us, let's all win together. Like there's enough success for every single person here. We can all lose fat. We can all build muscle, all hit PRs. It's just, there's limitless amounts. And I know a lot of people struggle because they want all the success for themselves, or they think that only a few people can have it. But I'm telling you, every person listening here, every person that joins our program, we can all succeed. And yeah, that's all I really have for my thoughts. But in terms of just what we're doing now, fitness-wise, people have been asking. We are getting ready for a mock powerlifting meet. We'll see if I'm doing it. I banged up my knee, but that's besides the point. Josh is going to be hitting some big numbers, which I'm excited about, as well as a couple of our buddies. And honestly, in terms of just the cut, so basically from the start of the year, I decided to cut, and I want to do 2 pounds per week. I think I've been anywhere between 1.5 to 2 pounds. And what I will say is it can definitely be hard to make that transition of like your consistent habits from before into just your new norm. And you just have to like commit, and you just have to go all in. It can be challenging though. Like I said, like the first week or so when I was so used to just like eating 4,000 plus calories, like that was my mindset. That was my new norm. I was trying to build muscle, and then to switch it up and be like, hey, you're going to have to cut out the snacking. You're going to have to decrease the portions. Like you have to just create a new identity and be a different person. Because if you keep up what you were doing before, it's just never going to work. And I think a lot of people have a hard time making that transition and switch because they're just like, oh, if I just keep doing what I was doing, or, you know, they kind of got used to it, it's just not going to work. So I've been enjoying this. I actually enjoy being able to eat less calories and just being more strict with it. And I find it just, you know, it's cheaper. It's just, it's easier for me to just stay on track with like a certain amount versus just like having a ton to eat personally. But that's where I'm at. And I'm excited to see the progress along the way over the next few weeks and few months.
Yeah, and we just wrapped up our 30-day challenge, which has been amazing. So Kyle obviously did a bigger cut after a huge bulk. For myself, I've been swimming in that range I like with the 214, trying to drive up my calories while keeping my weight low. So similar to the metabolism point there, really just working on that, what's the name of that thing, the balancing at the park? Teeter-totter, balancing on that teeter-totter, if you will, of trying to drive calories, to have more glycogen, more energy for the gym, to drive up my weights, just to get little bits of just advantage. And if you want to see some of the 30-day transformations from our community, as well as mine and Kyle's, you can check that out on our Instagram as well. And that's actually going to be our client shout out this week, because we want to applaud every member of our community who took this challenge by storm. It's been absolutely amazing to see. And 30 days isn't a crazy amount of time, and you can't really expect an insane transformation in 30 days, but I've been blown away with some of the transformations we've seen and the amazing progress we've generated from it. And even for me, it's been a lot of fun hopping into January with some preset challenges. And now it's going to be all about continuing that on, continuing to advance forward, and just taking this little extra boost, if you will. It's like a 30-day refresh. It helps you rewire some things, set a higher standard for yourself, and it gives you that opportunity to keep climbing and keep improving. So if you want to check out all these transformations, as well as some tips, seeing the winners of the challenge, all of that great stuff, that is available on our Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. So be sure to follow, show some love over there. And now we're going to jump into our second question. So that is question 2 is, I find I keep letting myself slip up and self-sabotage. Anytime I start to see change, I end up finding a way to go backwards. Any tips on how to navigate this?
So this is probably one of the most common things I see when people just unfortunately struggle. And I've talked about this a little bit, but it's been on my mind, especially because, within client check-ins, within just making sure that clients are on track, I just have been seeing quite a few trends, and maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe it's just, a mindset thing. It is a mindset thing for the most part, but I've had to give some good tips and tangibles. But anyways, the main thing is just you have to believe that you are worth it and you have what it takes and you deserve it. So when it comes down to it, I find there's a lot of past things that hold people back. So for example, if you have tried so many different times to lose weight, that's naturally what you're going to consistently think about. Even if you start to get momentum, let's say you happen to lose 5 to 10 pounds, you're starting to get the ball rolling. You think about that past experience. You think about when you did that's what's going to happen again. And you're always in your mind. And when it comes down to having that extra slice, or when it comes down to staying consistent on that next weekend, if all you're thinking about is, oh, I've been here before and I failed, that's what's probably going to happen, especially subconsciously. When you consistently think about that, you may not realize it, but you start to make bad decisions that it just doesn't work out in your favor. So what a lot of people don't realize is that it needs to be consistent. There needs to be consistent work put in to improve this. It's not just like hey, I'm worth it and I'm going to be great, and then you're just going to fix everything. It's a full-time job. And actually, I have a quote here that I saw that I really liked. It's a full-time job to believe in yourself, no days off. So I thought that was great, because it's not that you should be doing 10 hours of work on it, but it's not just like I said, a set it and forget it. It's do you need to create post-it notes and put it on your laptop every time? Do you need to have a little reminder when you go to weigh in? Do you need a note in the fridge saying something? You have to really just spend time doing this. And maybe when you're gratitude journaling, start to write about different things, how you're grateful for your body and how you're going to lose weight this time. There's a lot of things I can integrate and tell you what to do, but it needs to be in line with what's actually going to work best for you. And a lot of it's just going to be positive self-talk. When you catch yourself talking negatively, call yourself out. It's going to be just trying to be like I said, as positive as possible. When you start to notice, let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you're just always negative about the journey and, your struggles or whatever, if that's all you talk about and think about, what's going to happen? You're going to struggle. So like I said, it's a never-ending process. You have to put in that work. You have to truly believe you have what it takes, though, and that's a really big difference. You can't just say, hey, I think I can do this, and just not really believe it. You really, from the bottom of the heart, have to believe it, and you have to take action to make sure that you don't do negative things. And of course, last thing I'll say here is having someone by your side makes such a big difference, because a lot of these things I'm noticing, I'm able to catch it. I'm able to catch people self-sabotaging before they realize it, and I'm able to find ways to just create a system for them. And I'm thinking of a few people as an example. Shout out to them, because they're putting in some amazing work. But having someone by your side, having a network of people makes such a big difference.
Yeah, that was so incredibly well said. And even as a coach, I know I've mentioned it a few times now, but I'm just so passionate here, because I do find it's very uncomfortable growing to a next level. And even for myself, any position of growth I've had in my life, it's very uncomfortable, because it's atypical to what you're used to. It's a whole new level. It's a whole list of new uncertainties and a lot that accompanies it. And naturally, sometimes we'll want to be no, I want to go back to where it's comfortable, back to where I'm not overly challenged, where it's safe. But to me, I think the more you can identify that discomfort, if you will, and lean into it, embrace it, and say, this is me growing, this is me going to the next level, the better it is. Because any stage, some examples I can think too, just to give you some analogies, are starting a business. We wanted to start this business. We're hey, how can we help people? How can we package this? How can we make sure it's great? Then you got to learn about paying taxes, registering your business, getting an accountant, get all these crazy things. And it's at times we kind of oh my gosh, we want to rip our hair out. This is so horrible. But because of that little bit of suck in the opportunity that was a lot of amazing, we're able to get to where we are today. We're able to have 4,500 transformations. We're able to have an amazing team behind us, an incredible community, a great podcast. So if we just got scared and said, no, never mind, I'm just going to do what's comfortable, we wouldn't be where we are. So I find reframing that is so powerful. I mean, even as a parent, it's such an adjustment, just going from being like, I'm fixated on myself, to being like, oh my gosh, I have kids that need to take a lot of my energy, my time, my focus. I need to be present even when I'm not energetic, when I'm not, like, these different levels are uncomfortable, but the reward is so high. And with fitness, just all too often, I think it's just so much easier to say, no, I'm not meant to look lean. Like, it doesn't work for me. My metabolism's bad. Like, to put these excuses in front of our success. And that's where I love challenging people with this as my clients, because I'll hear these things. I'll say, whoa, hold the phone. That's not the case at all. You've done great for 3 weeks. You had 2 bad days. We're going to bounce back to it. Let's hit our calories by the end of the week. Watch, our weekly average is going to be normal. And then it goes back to normal. And they're like, oh my gosh, you were so right. Like, I'm so thankful I have you on my side. Like, having someone who can kind of keep reality in check, because we'll get those moments where things feel like the end of the world, especially in dieting. But when you look at it really from a week to week basis and you're planning things out and you're being intelligent, like, it isn't that big of a deal. But I really love Kyle's point about it being a full-time job to believe in yourself, because journeys are highs and lows. And one thing I'll often say to my clients as well is, when they have an amazing couple weeks or they're just ripping, I'll be like, remember this, like, take this thought, put it away in the back of the bookshelf in your brain, and remember, you can do this. You're doing absolutely phenomenal and you're crushing it. Because as much as I hate to say it, in a few weeks, something's going to happen. You're going to have some self-doubt. You're not going to feel good. Like, it's all highs and lows in a journey, and it's natural to expect that. So I think on those lows, to reframe and just say, hey, I'm just having a bad day. I'm just grumpy. I slipped up once. I can improve from this. Like, being realistic with it is just so much better than being an all or nothing. So I think that to me is so important. And those were really great points and just a couple additions.
And last thing I'll say there is, I had a conversation with a client recently, and Josh had some great points. I really hope you took notes there, but she had said, I'm so glad I'm doing this again. My husband asked me why I'm doing it, because I've more or less failed a bunch of times, and he's wondering like what's going to be different. And he was self-doubting her, and naturally he's probably seen her fail a ton of times, but she was just like, I just need that person to believe in me. I need that person to reassure me that I'm doing the right stuff. And that's where having someone like outside of like your normal family, friends and whatnot, like, I truly believe every single person has what it takes. And when they come in and they know that that person is giving the right stuff to, program the nutrition stuff, and then also just has that belief, like from the bottom of my heart, like, I know you have what it takes and you deserve it, they start to take the right actions. Whereas if they were by themselves and they hear their husband again saying like, like, you're trying that diet again, and then they mess up, and then they're just like, maybe he is right. Like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Whereas like, you have me in the ear saying, hey, you've got what it takes. Let's get back to it. I've got some different tips to navigate this. Like Josh said, with that quote, I just thought that was so great, because alone we can do so little, together we can do so much.
All right, now for our third question of the day. How do I progress when I've maxed my weight set at home and can't actually use heavier weights? So how can I see progress just with the weights I have available?
Yeah, I mean, first thing would just be...
And actually, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Kyle was a travel trainer. He took charge with the travel training. So he'd bring equipment. Some people would have gyms, some people wouldn't. And he actually taught a boot camp. It's funny, all the different parts of our lives and the different things. And even though some of them were different paths to our main journey, it's amazing how it all just worked together to help Kyle be a better coach, to give different perspectives, to really isolate where we thought we could do the most help, which is helping people online via YouTube, our podcast, and our coaching. But once again, I know Kyle is the metabolism expert, but he also is the expert with this, with utilizing minimal equipment and still seeing phenomenal results. So I had to put that in there. So make sure to listen up.
I've had to do some crazy things. Like, as Josh brought that up, I was thinking of the amount of times, like, it's funny because a client recently asked me, he said, hey, I want to transition from the gym to like my home setup. He's like, do I have enough stuff to make it work? And he had like a cable, he has like a barbell, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, you wouldn't believe what I've done before. Like, we can do some great things with this. But anyway, so the point is that, obviously first thing I'd be like, order more weight, like you won't regret it. But I know for some people it's not the case, and space is a thing, and finance, whatever the case is, like, the easiest thing you can do is just slow down the tempo. So the main thing to think about when it comes to just like using the same weights is like, there's 3 ways to just really effectively see progress within a routine. It's going to be increasing the reps or sets, so the overall volume, the overall tempo, and then also just the overall weight, so the load there. So in this case, you can't increase the load. You're going to be keeping it the same. The first thing would just be slowing it down. So if you're used to doing a goblet squat, you've got 35 pounds. Just slow it down on the eccentric, do 3 to 5 seconds. Just that alone is just going to be a drastic increase. Your body's going to be working harder. You're going to be able to build more muscle over time. You're going to be burning more calories. That would be the first step that I would take for any movement. Even similar to this concept of COVID, when it hit, like we had to get so creative to people who didn't have a chance to buy stuff and didn't even have a whole lot of stuff. We did water bottle workouts. We did whatever we could to get our clients to see success. That was another crazy phase within our journey. But a lot of it was just tempo work, slowing things down, controlling the negative. The other thing would just be the overall sets and reps. So if you're used to doing 10 reps and that's what you're used to, we can do 15, we can do 20. That alone will just increase the volume and will make such a big difference. And then the last thing would just be intensity. So even some of our home workouts, like we don't love to superset tons of things, but if someone does have minimal equipment, we're more than happy to just superset some things and just to, give you some different ways to just like keep the intensity up, whether it's like, a dumbbell floor press right into a row into maybe something cardio related and then repeat that a few times. Like you can just drastically increase the intensity there. And that would be probably the final thing I would say. So tempo, sets and reps, and intensity for that question.
Yeah, I was most challenged with this during COVID because I couldn't go to the gym, obviously. So during this time, I would use that opportunity to do different things. And naturally, like one of my favorite things as a trainer is you could always win a client by like just taking any movement they do, making them do an incredibly slow negative, really making them squeeze it out, do with intention, and actually pushing them to like 1 or 2 RIR. So like when they have 1 or 2 left in the tank only, because it would kill people, right? And naturally, like if you want to bodybuild, this theoretically would be the best way to train for maximizing muscle growth. But obviously in practice, most things we do would be more explosive. So if I lift up a box, I'm not slowly lifting up, squeezing my muscle, squeezing my glutes. I'm just lifting up this box. So most people end somewhere in between. And like the general advice of like doing a 1 second concentric, 2 second eccentric and or negative is just easy to follow. But when you're using really light weights, you can really be dramatic here by increasing reps, increasing time under tension, as Kyle had said, as well as intensity. And then of course, minimizing rest. And like playing around with those, sure, you can get quite a benefit. I do just find it backfires in the sense that it's really hard to grow serious muscle and do this. Like it's very hard with discipline to do a ton of reps, like 30, 40 reps to failure. It's very, very hard. Most of us will stop very short. It's very easy to do 3 reps to failure. Like we'll know when we're right at that failure point. So that is where there is this difference. So just something to be mindful of, but I think that was a great response.
Yeah, and thank you so much for spending time with us today. Once again, if you've made it to the end of this episode, you're a real one. We will take care of you with our special promo. Follow us on Instagram every single day. We're doing at least 2 posts. We're doing daily stories. We're adding as much value as physically possible to help you transform and see success that you deserve. And if you're looking to work with us one-on-one for this special promo, message us Metabolism on Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusUSFit. We can't wait to change your life, and thanks for spending time with us today.